Zoogerton, the Zoological Society Papers of Mrs. Featherdown. Episode 4, Moonlight and Missteps. My dearest readers, if the annual Menagerie Ball glittered in its opening hours, it positively crackled as the evening wore on. One could almost feel the tension humming beneath the chandeliers, a subtle shift in the air, as though the ton collectively sensed that something was about to happen, though none could yet name it. The ostrich trio, having earlier drawn considerable attention with Netty's accidentally dropped calling card case, were later observed moving with what several creatures described as a noticeably sharpened sense of purpose. Netty's feathers were arranged with almost ceremonial precision, and more than one onlooker whispered that her posture suggested she intended to escalate her evening's pursuits. Poppy and Clover fell into place beside her with the quiet coordination of creatures accustomed to moving in formation, pivoting the moment their lead indicated a new course. It was said that Netty approached Benjamin with a delicacy bordering on theatricality, requesting his counsel on a matter so trivial and transparently fabricated that several witnesses later confessed they were astonished he fell for it. Yet fall he did, or perhaps followed is the kinder term, allowing himself to be guided toward the terrace and, beyond it, the moonlit paths of the Munsell Sustainable Garden. Clover and Poppy, ever dutiful accomplices, created a series of small diversions behind them. A toppled punch bowl here, a misplaced fan there, and a whispered rumour so enticing that half the room turned its head at once. By the time anyone thought to look for Benjamin again, he and Netty had vanished from sight. It was Akayla's circle who noticed first. Regina's ears pricked so sharply that several nearby creatures later remarked they could practically hear the snap of her attention. Those same witnesses insisted they overheard her mutter something distinctly leonine, a low, rumbling observation that certain ostriches were far too bold for birds who forget whose territory they're strutting through. One squirrel monkey claimed, Regina added with a flick of her whiskers, that she would be delighted to remind Netty of the natural order should the need arise. Nandi's tail gave a single deliberate lash, a movement that several onlookers interpreted as a sign her patience had reached its limit. Magic's coils, according to those standing nearest, tightened with a slow, deliberate precision that suggested she was already contemplating several possibilities. And Maggie, gentle though she is, was overheard murmuring that something felt decidedly amiss, though more than one creature noted the way her nostrils flared, as if she were bracing for the evening's drama to reach a full feeding frenzy. What began as concern, according to whispers that later circulated through the ballroom, soon shifted into something far more strategic. Their deliberations, pieced together from fragments overheard behind fans and from creatures lingering near the refreshment table, were said to be nothing short of positively scintillating. Regina reportedly led the discussion, her tone carrying the unmistakable edge of a lioness who had spotted a threat to her pride. Several witnesses claimed she suggested that Netty's ambitions might be best curbed by ensuring she became the subject of a scandal so grand she would be forced to retreat from the ton entirely, or molt from sheer embarrassment, as one particularly attentive squirrel monkey recounted. Nandi, according to a pair of gossiping quail, favoured a more direct approach, exposing Netty's manipulations so thoroughly that no creature with sense would dare align themselves with her again. Magic, whose silence is often more telling than her words, was said, by those who swear they can read the language of coils, to be contemplating a quieter unravelling, a slow, elegant constriction of Netty's reputation, until it simply could not breathe. And Maggie, oh sweet Maggie, startled more than one eavesdropper when she was heard murmuring, in a tone far too gentle for the sentiment, that feathers may very well fly before the night is through. Several creatures later insisted they had never heard a camel sound so ominously cheerful. One particularly dramatic idea, repeated with great relish by a cluster of lemurs near the orchestra, involved Netty finding herself the subject of a rumour so pointed that she might be mistaken for a feather duster in waiting, a fate which, in the ton is considered only marginally preferable to social ruin. But when murmurs spread that Benjamin too was nowhere to be found, the circle's whispered plotting reportedly shifted into urgency. The circle fanned out across the ballroom, slipping through corridors, balconies, and alcoves with the determination of creatures who refuse to be outmaneuvered. Their search, though discreet, carried the weight of impending revelation. Meanwhile, in the garden, the moon cast a pale glow over the winding paths. It was there, among the carefully tended greenery, that Netty was said to have positioned herself with calculated vulnerability. She leaned close to Benjamin, feathers trembling in a manner that suggested distress, though those familiar with her talents might argue it was merely another performance. Benjamin, ever earnest, appeared to be offering counsel, unaware of how the scene might appear to any who stumbled upon it. And stumble upon it, someone did. Akayla reached the garden first. She stepped into the clearing and found Netty standing far too close. Benjamin caught in a moment he could not easily explain, and the ostriches Clover and Poppy, whom several creatures have begun referring to as Netty's ever-present co-conspirators, were lurking just beyond the hedges with expressions that could only be described as charged with expectation. Akayla froze. Her circle arrived seconds later, breathless and ready to defend her honor with a ferocity that would have sent lesser creatures fleeing. A silence settled over the garden with such theatrical gravity that it seemed nature itself refused to rustle lest it miss the scandal taking shape. And now, my dearest readers, the ton is left to wonder whether Benjamin's presence in the garden was a moment of innocent misjudgment or something far more decidedly ruinous. How far Netty is willing to go to secure what she desires, and what Akayla will choose in the face of such a sight, whether to retreat with dignity or confront the moment with force, a choice that could send ripples through the ton for seasons to come. These answers, I fear, must wait till next week. Until the next delicious tidbit begs to be set to ink, I remain your ever-observant, ever-anonymous chronicler of Zoo Society, Mrs. Featherdown.